Kazakhstan has chosen the multi-vector integration. Its trends, collisions and prospects are coming up in the single market program.
Today in the program, Industry 4.0, Kazakhstan's plans. Astana, Dubai, another step forward. A window of new transit possibilities. Hello, I'm your host Yerkebulan Bekmukhanbet. You're watching the Single Market Program. The Fourth Industrial Revolution. Today, the upcoming transformation of the economy, which will radically change the entire technological structure of modern civilization, is mentioned at all the iconic international forums and conferences. When exactly this happens, which countries will be included in the shortlist, and how the figures will look, it is difficult to predict. But the elements and key areas of the new reality are already known. Therefore, not only the leading but also developing economies of the world already have their own scenarios. As general history shows, once in the interval, which is measured by a time distance of 40 to 50 years, there is radical change in the technological order in the world. Parallel to this, structural changes are taking place in the life of society. Nevertheless, at the stage of both predicting and implementing the changes themselves, the focus is on the root cause. In today's reality, this root cause is called the Fourth Industrial Revolution. There's no question here, go to the digital transformation or not, go into the digital transformation. We are already in it. The question is how fast we are moving along it. The Fourth Industrial Revolution reminded us of its prospects yesterday, when elements of the digital format started to be introduced into different spheres of our life, in the banking, state and service sector, accounting, trade, etc. And this gradually formed the core of a new technological order. This is augmented virtual reality. It is artificial intelligence and expert systems. These are social networks and other social technologies. This machine learning, its mobility, it's the Internet of Things and the Internet in the industry. That is industrial automation. In advanced countries, this core accounts for more than 5% of the GDP. This is enough to predict the way out to the trajectory of sustainable and rapid economic growth of this core, which will continue at the same pace in the next 10 to 15 years. The core of the Fourth Industrial Revolution, judging by its key elements, is formed at the expense of digital technologies. Among the countries of the Eurasian Economic Union, Kazakhstan was one of the first who took the course on digitalization, and this fact is recognized by specialists working in the territory of the integration space in the core area. If we talk about digitalization, Kazakhstan wrote its strategy and brought it to the state level earlier than Russia, and it has quite a lot of interesting pundits in part, including smart cities. In addition to smart city projects, elements of which are being introduced in two cities of Kazakhstan, Astana and Almaty, the Republic is successfully promoting the e-government development program. But digitalization is not only the transformation of government and services. Cardinal changes due to modernization should occur in the industry. And this is the message that the President of the Republic announced in a special message. Within the framework of the Fourth Industrial Revolution, a new digital model should be pursued, using ways that one way or another must overlap at the points of coincidence between business and the state. The first thing to do is create an environment in which the digital transformation will occur. These are certain legislative initiatives. This is a certain regulatory policy. In this direction, the National Chamber of Entrepreneurs of Kazakhstan proposes to create incentive mechanisms for businesses so that entrepreneurs ready to keep up with the Industrial Revolution could get all state support measures in one window. More than 50% use subsidies, guarantees, and other measures of state support, availability of loans. And now this incentive, the carrot, shows you that in a complex in one place, it can be without bureaucracy. But I must take a counter obligation, the obligation to modernize and digitize. Large companies in Kazakhstan, which mainly work in the raw material sector, have long been involved in the digitalization process. Now it is about encouraging the small and medium-sized businesses that are engaged in the manufacturing industry to be part of the digitalization process. In this industry, there are more than 14,000 enterprises, and as the survey showed, many of them do not know what the fourth industrial revolution is and what role digital transformation plays in the transformation of the economy. In favor of such companies, the National Chamber of Entrepreneurs plans to implement a project on the formation of a new ecosystem. We create a center of competence, take the best advanced technologies, help them, see what kind of digitalization they need and what should be done. It should be clear what is smart production, automated production, and smart management. Digitalization is the primary key. It is a new reality for humanity in the course of the fourth industrial revolution. But here, in addition to the pluses, there will inevitably be disadvantages. Therefore, cooperation is very useful. Cooperation is a necessity even for countries that are members of the Eurasian Economic Union. The future of integration depends on the synchronization of actions in such areas as financial, transport and logistics, and trade communications. Aida by Makova, Oskar Aitkenov, specially for the Single Market Program.
Объединенные Арабские Эмираты. Это страна по объему...
United Arab Emirates. This country ranks 13th in terms of foreign direct investment in the economy of Kazakhstan. By the number of enterprises in which capital was attracted, it takes 23rd place. And in mutual trade, 25th place. Nevertheless, the state is included in the list of strategic partners in the development of trade and economic relations of our republic. What prospects are currently visible in the cooperation of Emirates and Kazakhstan? We learn about this from our analyst, Alexander Galiev. Diversification of trade and economic ties fits into the multi-vector policy of Kazakhstan. And this is in a situation of global uncertainty, the right course, because no one can guarantee the preservation of the status quo. Today, trade and economic cooperation with a particular country is developing actively, and tomorrow, for some reason, it can show negative dynamics. Therefore, the wider the circle of business partners, the fewer risks to the economy. Last year, mutual trade between Kazakhstan and the United Arab Emirates almost doubled. In dollar terms, its volume in 2016 was $374 million, and in 2017, $643 million. I agree the volumes are small, but the dynamics of growth is quite decent. Gradually, the investment flows from the Emirates also increase. Today in Kazakhstan, there are about 200 joint ventures. The main areas in which they operate are oil refining and development of the infrastructure, the oil and gas sector, the chemical industry, the construction industry, and the agro-industrial complex. At the same time, the potential of the investment portfolio is far from exhausted. As the spring visit of Kazakh President Nursultan Nazarbayev to Dubai showed, the business community of the Arab Emirates plans to expand the range of areas in which it is ready to make investments. As a result of the meeting, several agreements were signed that could bring trade and economic ties to a new level. The Emirates has plans for cooperation with Kazakhstan in the gas-chemical sector. We're talking about 2 projects in the Atral region. Within the framework of the first project, it is planned to build a plant for the production of polyethylene. The parties signed a document on fixing state support measures and designing the facility. The second agreement is a document that reinforces mutual understanding on the acquisition of a stake in the implementation of the project for the production of polypropylene. In addition to the gas-chemical sector, the Emirates wants to cooperate with Kazakhstan in the field of infrastructure. In Dubai, 2 documents have been signed. One of them is a framework agreement on the terms for the acquisition of a 49% stake in the Special Economic Zone, Aktau Seaport. Another about the principles of participation of one of the largest port operators in the world, Dubai World's Ports, and in the capital of Fez, Khorgos Eastern Gates. And finally, the third sphere to which the United Arab Emirates is interested is the exploration of outer space. We're talking about the prospect of entering the Russian-Kazakh project by Terek. Today, the main currency of the world is not the dollar, euro, or gold, but specific joint projects and signed trade contracts. As for their prerequisites, they are built solely on business interest. In particular, the interests of Kazakhstan and the United Arab Emirates intersect at the junction of strategically important transit corridors. Emirates, through Kazakhstan, gains access to the markets of China, countries of Central Asia, and the EAEC. In turn, Kazakhstan, through the Emirates, optimizes transit to the markets of the Middle East. This is all I have on the topic. Alexander Galiev was with you.
С вами был Александр Галиев. We have 200,000 members here in Dubai Chamber of Commerce and Industry, and we believe if we work together, we can highlight the right opportunities to the right company and bring them together. So there's enough for everybody, but there's a little bit of an information overload, and that's where we can play a really good part as partners. People get busy with so many choices, and it's up to us as a chamber to highlight these regional markets, such as Kazakhstan, to highlight the demographic difference, the economic differences, to highlight the new strategies that the governments. And once the businessmen have found partners or are looking for partners and show interest, the next step is, well, they might say, it's too far away, I don't know the language. But we say, we have somebody who can help you, who can hold your hand, who can take you to that region and help you make the deals and find the right partners. And we have companies and entities and partners, such as Kaznex, for example, to connect us to the best of their communities. So it's like a trust hand-holding from beginning to end, from the macro to the micro, where the deal is made, and hopefully we get the good news when the deals get made. Dubai is extremely active. It is a hub for tourism, travel, but more importantly, trade, finance, and logistics. So it's very active in terms of exhibitions, businessmen coming in and out. Dubai usually plays to its strengths, where we connect people through logistics, through exhibitions, through trade, finance, tourism, and all the subsectors. But it's in partnership with countries. We bring them together. Just like with the Expo 2020 theme, connecting minds and creating the future, that is what Dubai does. And that's where we can take the best of each country and connect it here to a supplier as well.
Время – деньги. Это одна из основных заповедей тех, кто является...
Time is money. This is one of the main commandments of those who are part of the market. And these are manufacturers, transport services, distributors, and many other structures involved in the process of trade. And the result of their work largely depends on the time that will hold the goods on the way to the consumer. Last autumn, a facility was opened on the Kazakh-Chinese border. Journalists called it the first sign of the Silk Road. All details about this project will be shared by Elmira Negreva.
Об этом проекте у Эльмиры Негреевой.
In today's conditions of mobile life, the principle of time is money becomes a reality. First of all, for those who are engaged in business, it is involved in the sphere of foreign economic activity. The goods, before they become imported or exported, they must go through a certain control system that is installed on the border of any country. The potential of commodity circulation between the countries depends on several components. These include an important factor such as handling transit cargo. Kazakhstan has border checkpoints with China and has 4 checkpoints for road freight. One of them is Kalzhat. It was here in March 2016, the first project in the Republic for the construction of a modern transport and logistics center for the processing of road freight was launched. The purpose of this project can be seen through the prism of the answer to the question, how to optimize the system of passing auto loads, combining the interest of business and the state. As a result, the Kazakh logistics provider of the group of companies, Eurotransit, had the idea of building a transport and logistics center on the terms of public-private partnership. We suggested that the State Revenue Committee build its own infrastructure at its own expense, provide the staff of the State Revenue Committee with all the necessary infrastructure, and thereby gain the opportunity to provide services to participants in external economic activities. The project was implemented in 3 phases. The entire implementation cycle was from 2016 to 2020. Within the first stage, engineering and communication facilities, an office building, a temporary storage warehouse, and a terminal for cargo inspection were built. In the first phase, 3.5 billion tenge was invested. It's entirely your own money. But at the same time, we opened a credit line in the bank for 2.5 billion tenge, of which 500 million has already been spent. In October of last year, specialists began to conduct customs operations with cargoes that crossed the Chinese border and arrived in Kazakhstan, a country participating in the Eurasian Economic Union. Before the car arrives on the territory of the customs union, a participant in foreign trade activities, the declarant, say, or the broker beforehand declares preliminary information about the transit cargo. To make this information available to the risk management system at the Kaljat TLC, the Astana 1 information system was introduced. All control services were integrated into its program: border, customs, phytosanitary, and veterinary. It automatically identifies potential risks and gives advice to specialists on the provision of one of the three options for the corridor: green, yellow, red. The territory of the TLC registers the arrival of road cargo. Then he goes to the site of the inspection and inspection complex. Here, with the help of a mobile scanner, the machine is checked for the presence of prohibited items, as well as the compliance of the cargo with the information stated in the declaration. The cargo is sent from China to Uzbekistan. The name of the cargo is fabric. On the computer screen, which is facing you, there is an X-ray, which can increase images. For those who send transport and received goods to be aware of all conditions of operations, customs officials inform them of all the regulations. With participants in foreign economic activities on an ongoing basis, we hold roundtables and an open day. During these events, we introduce them to the new legislation and believe that this work is necessary. If the risk management system recommends that cargoes for certain reasons have to undergo inspection, then further actions of the customs officers take place in this terminal. Here the goods are unloaded, weighed, and undergo identification procedures. For those cases when the goods for some reason do not have time to be declared, it moves to the temporary storage warehouse. Comfortable working conditions have been created in the Kaljat TLC, including for brokers who can solve the issues on the spot directly contacting the specialist of the Customs Service and the Transport and Logistics Center. Thanks to this project, it became very convenient. Almost everything is in the same building. This is beneficial for the shippers. It is beneficial for us brokers to make out the cargo. It also benefits the recipients of goods. And in the end, consumers win. The entire potential of the Transport and Logistics Center can be seen after the development of the second and third phases of the project. For the convenience of participants in foreign economic activity, a hotel, several administrative buildings, gas stations, parking lots for trucks and cars will be built on this territory. In addition, a distribution terminal will also be built. There will be cars from China to form a product in the range. After that, the delivery of the goods will be carried out at the place of destination. Thanks to the center, Kazakhstan's partners in the Eurasian Economic Union will have new opportunities. If earlier the goods from China and Southeast Asia were sent first to the distribution center of Moscow and then spread all over Russia, now the supply chain will be optimized, including by reducing the distance. We are in the same space. The cargo can go in customs clearance, and from our logistics center it can leave in any direction in Russia. What does this give the end user? This gives a significant reduction in logistics load and accordingly is reflected in the final price. These prospects determine the relevance of the Transport and Logistics Center Kaljat not only for Kazakhstan, the Eurasian Economic Union, but also for China, the country that today within the framework of the global scenario One Belt, One Way revives the Silk Road. And such a scale underscores the strategic role of our republic in the development of modern transit infrastructure. Elmira Nigreeva, Bakhidjan Bakhriev, especially for the Single Market Program. That's all for today. I'm Yerkebulan Bikmohambiet. Let me remind you that all our episodes can be watched on our website, www.kazakh-tv.kz. See you in the next Single Market program.